This is Joyce, the voice of Joyce, and I'm at a restaurant with my two good friends from Stockbridge, Massachusetts, who have absolutely been a benefit to their African American community and their community at large. And I look forward to interviewing Cora Portnoff and Ray Gunn, her husband. It's Ray Gunn who we're going to be speaking to most, since his heritage goes back to Civil War times in Massachusetts. This is Cora Portnoff and her husband Ray Gunn, and I'm going to be interviewing both of them today. Both of them have been very active in the community, and I'd like to know, when did you start actually being active? It seems to me you've been active in African American affairs and community affairs almost since you were born.
No.
Well, no, it was more or less after I graduated from college. When I graduated from college, we had a campaign going on the first time I was involved in politics. And I never realized what went on behind the scenes, but I was elected vice president of a senior class at college, and I guess that's when it started, politicking.
And when was your next big project? I know you were involved with the African American Trail and recognizing the W.E.B. Dubois birth site.
Well, my church, which is the Clinton AME Zion Church in Great Barrington, it's a small black church that has now been decommissioned, and back in 2016 my wife and I and another group bought it. So right now we are restoring it to its original situation.
Probably better than it was. It's going to be
we're
restored,
making it better than it was.
Rehabilitated, and functioning, repurposed as a community center and a historic site. For the there'll be access to the papers of Dubois and community events and lectures, a history of the people who founded the church and the people who lived around the church.
Now, can you tell me and everyone else, which one of you would like to do this, a little about W.E.B. Du Bois and why we should be concerned and interested in preserving his birth site?
I'll talk about the church.
Because W.E.B. Du Bois was an international scholar and civil rights activist. He founded the NAACP, and surprisingly, he was born and raised right in Great Barrington. He was not a member of the AME Zion Church, but he was affiliated with the church. He wrote a newspaper column about the church's activities. His mother actually belonged to the First Congregational, and that he belonged really to none of the churches. But he is internationally known, and he should be honored in his own hometown.
Thank you. But now, when you're working on the AME Church, that really has nothing to do with W.E.B. Du Bois, does it?
In a way it does, because when Du Bois was going to high school, he was a reporter for a black newspaper, and he used to come to the church and write about the meetings and other things that were going on in the church and report them through the black newspapers. And Du Bois always was an activist insofar as he wanted to bring the black community up, because living conditions in the black community in Great Barrington weren't very nicely. So that was one of the things he was always after. Now the church just sitting there, welcome to having him come, he and his mother. And they did visit I'm not sure how often they visited, but they did visit, and he wrote about goings on at the church in his junior and senior year in high school, and I'm not sure how many years after that he did. But our church became more involved with Dubois in about 1980 when UMass sent archaeologists over to the site to dig and find out more about Dubois himself. And in turn, the archaeologists used the Clinton AME Zion Church to bring their findings and to clean up their findings and things like that. So that gave us the first intermingling of UMass, Dubois, and the Clinton AME Zion Church.
And did the African American Trail then become part of that whole structure, or was that decided separately?
Well, the African American Heritage Trail had already started, and they were beginning to do the historical backings, bringing that out to the front. And from them, they got into all of the blacks in the community, like James Weldon Johnson, James Van Der Zee,
Reverend Samuel Harrison.
Right, and they became more involved in the entire black community in Northwest Connecticut and Western Massachusetts. So that all started that was started before or around the time Dubois had started the Crisis magazine in 1905, which was out in Niagara.
But the African American Heritage Trail wasn't put into effect until, 94, 95 with Rachel Fletcher. She was the leader of the African American Heritage Trail and helped to put together the book.
And Elaine.
Okay, and Elaine Gunn.
Elaine Gunn.
Yes.
Tell me, what is the purpose now in landmarking the African American Church at this point, the AME Church? What do you intend to do with the church now that it's landmarked and we're starting restoration on it?
We intend to have it as an African American cultural center in Great Barrington. One of the things is the Clinton AME Zion Church, as it stood, is the oldest black church still standing that had been in constant use since the 1800s. And when black families came up from the South, they usually came into Great Barrington because they had relatives around in the area, and they used to stay in Great Barrington until they got settled. And one of the places they could stay at was a place known as Prophet's Inn, which was right across the street from the church. So if a few of the family came up, and then later on more came up, they went to the church because the Clinton church was similar to the church that they had been attending while in the South, and they liked that. They didn't feel as though they didn't feel like going to the white church. In fact, the white churches didn't really accept them, so they had their own little setups where they held church in different places. So that's more or less what it started, so that the blacks could have their own way of having religious ceremonies and things like that. Now, as far as the church goes now, we have this.
Okay.
I'm going to read right from this paper. We're going to have a visitors interpretive center in the church. And that's going to be, the church itself is the church with a sanctuary and a basement. And then attached to the church is what used to be the parsonage. And that contains 2 stories. There are 3 bedrooms upstairs, and there are 3 rooms, 3 rooms downstairs, which we are going to have as a visitor interpretive center. And we intend to be able to give shows and plays or whatever else the community wants to do. And the good thing about the church, I think, is it's going to be on a smaller detail than some of the other bigger places that can be rented out now. So we're looking forward to that. Social center.
There'll be a museum there also detailing the lives of the people who founded the church and lived around the church. There will be digital access to the Dubois papers, which are housed at UMass.
Thank you very much for agreeing to this interview. Thank you everyone for listening. And we're in a crowded restaurant in Purdy's, which is called, Farmer and the Fish. And so this is Joyce. I'm going to say goodbye to Ray and to his lovely wife, Cora.
Hey, Joyce, quick question. Did you give the address of the church?
No, I don't have the address.
9 Elm Court in Great Barrington, Massachusetts.
9 Elm Court, Great Barrington, Massachusetts.
And we're looking for all sorts of donations, which can be sent to P.O. Box 1075, Great Barrington.
Everyone, if you want to send a donation to the new restored AME Church for African American Studies and Culture, do it to P.O. Box, say again, Ray?
1075.
1075, Great Barrington, Mass. What's the zip?
01230.
01230. And thank you, my friends, of 25 years. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
So this concludes today's episode of The Voice of Joyce. I'm back home in New York City and want to say in this season of giving, think impact giving, think giving back to society, the environment, the community. Think of Ray and Cora. And if you wish, think of any other organization that you know that you might like publicized or want grant money for. Send me your news clips, and I'm happy to publish it on my site. This is indeed a new beginning for all of us. Let's make it an impact, and let's make it a story that we're going to be proud to tell our children and our grandchildren. So thank you for listening. Send me any information at thevoiceofjoyce@earthlink.net. Happy to hear from everyone, and thank you for being with us. Bye now, and take care.